This conference will now be recorded.
Nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You have to teach that whole conversation. Good morning, everybody. This is the Mitchell County Board of Supervisors meeting. We're at the courthouse in Osage, Iowa. The meeting is available by GoToMeeting also. We have an agenda in front of us. There's one correction that needs to be made. It's to number 4. Number 4 is a carryover from last week, so what it needs to say is sheriff update. So that's the only correction I know on it, unless there's something else somebody sees. I'll accept the motion to approve it.
I'll make that motion with that correction at number 4.
Okay, Brian has made a motion with the correction. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Marco seconds. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, approve the minutes of the March 28th meeting. So, assuming everybody has read it, in some time, that's okay. Otherwise, I'll accept the motion to approve the minutes.
I'll move to approve the minutes.
Myers made a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Anderson seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing none.
Roll call, Todd.
Aye.
Jim.
Aye.
Sydney. Aye. Mike.
Aye.
Mark.
County Attorney General discussion.
Yes, I don't have anything in particular to discuss today. Busy, but I don't have anything necessarily in particular to mention, I guess. Said I'm busy, so you guys may have questions on different things I'm working on. But if you do, let me know. I guess the only thing I'd say is, because last time, we talked about that, that opioid paperwork gets submitted. So don't know what to expect from it, or, I don't know. Well, I think maybe they did send us a little bit of a chart on what we might expect, but as far as a time frame, timeline, I don't know for sure what we're looking at, but they are pretty good about keeping us updated. So anyway, that got a call from a citizen one time asking me some questions about it, and I kind of answered him best I could. At the same time, trying to outline the little bit complex, and I don't want to try to be careful, but question was about some uses of the funds and things, and I didn't get very specific. I was pretty general. Like this person had heard, asked very, very good questions. And I don't know if anybody contacted you guys or not, but she was just, maybe during the meeting one time when I was given authority to enter into the agreement, I think some people out there might have thought that meant that I had authority to decide certain things. And I pointed out, I said, well, no, I had the authority to enter the agreement. And I did. I'm not the policymaker, and I indicated this was unrelated. Well, I guess I wouldn't say unrelated, but it's a separate settlement from the first one. So anyway, that's. I don't know if anybody ever contacted you about those things or not, but just if they do, and they say, well, I talk to county attorneys, not that I'm necessarily trying to stop talking to people or anything as much as it's like, well, I kind of stay in my lane, so. I guess that's all specifically I have.
Any questions for the county attorney? I guess we're good to go.
Okay.
So thank you much. Sheriff update.
A couple of things this morning. Maybe Rich can weigh in on this one. I've had a citizen complaint on semis that go down off of 340th south into Orchard, and they can't get across the bridge that goes across Stroud Stream. apparently the drivers are telling them their GPS is routing them that way. And they're also coming in from the south going north, and they get to the bridge and then they're stuck.
We had a while back, same thing, the GPS was routing them coming from the east into Orchard, and it would tell them to take that road, because they needed to go to T38.
Yep.
And so we put a sign up in the town of Orchard that kind of tried to clarify that you need to turn right here. I don't know if the sign's still up or not.
I'll have to
but-
look, but I wonder, you can't hardly, unless we make a sign that says no semis, because a regular truck could make it, a dump truck or a tandem could, but I know that's happened in the past. Man, you wonder, number one, why the GPS routes it that way in the first place. But,
Shortest route, I suppose.
well, I mean, it's a parallel route to the main highway too. It's like, I don't know what it's doing, but, I'll look to see if that sign is still there. Other than that, we can't really say it's not a truck route, because there are trucks that do run it. So I wonder if we have to make a sign that says no tractor trailers or something to that effect. I mean, the locals probably know they can't make it. It's weird that through traffic is routing them that way. I don't know where it's taking them, where they're headed.
Well, I believe the GPS thing, blizzards, I've had some folks that go off of 218 onto a gravel, and when we get to them, because they're stuck in a snowbank, they tell me GPS is routed that way. So I don't know why it does it, it just does it, but they get down there, and this guy's tried to stop some of these guys and turn them around, and so if there's anything that we can do signage
We'll look into it again.
wise to keep them from running down there from both directions, it'd probably be a good idea. Sooner or later, they won't get stopped, they'll get around that bridge, and then we got a problem. So if we can avoid that, that'd be good. So, whatever you want to do with that, Rich.
Okay.
Good luck with that one. A couple of IT issues that continue to be a problem at our office, and I talked to Paul about them this morning. One of them is called GeoCom. It's a 911 mapping system. And when a 911 call comes in, it populates, tells dispatch where this and is that. It's not working properly. And the other one is the way I understand this, when OMU and Omnitel got together to do some engineering, our 832 ability to call those numbers from our dispatch center went down. So like this morning, we tried to reach a St. Anselm policeman at 10 after 5, and he's an 832 number on his cell phone, and we can't reach him. It won't allow us to dial it through. So talked to Paul about that again this morning too. That stuff's gotta be fixed. Like yesterday, it's that important to have that stuff. OMU, when we talk to them, they tell us it's our problem. I think some of those issues have happened here in the courthouse, from what I'm hearing, and maybe from your shop, which maybe it is our problem then. But prior to this, we didn't have any problems, and now we have them. So we gotta get that figured out soon.
Do you know when that started?
Huh?
When did that start?
It started when, my understanding of this is, when OMU hired Omnitel to do some work. And maybe they're still under contract to do work in Osage. So it's been a while. I can get you an exact time if you'd like. But we need to get that taken care of. And I mentioned it to Paul again this morning, and he's gonna get on it again and see if he can't resolve the issue. But it gets fixed, or it's an intermittent problem, comes and goes. And we gotta have that working 100% of the time. Along with the GeoCom mapping system, that's pretty critical.
Is that a problem in-house too?
Well, I don't know on that one. I think that Chris Olson has been in contact with GeoCom and has provided us with the information we need to repair it. Paul has that now, so.
So he needs to get that done today.
Yeah. So he's working on it. See what happens with it, but.
Sounds like an elusive issue. This is,
Yeah,
who's got the problem, or where you find the problem, and it comes and goes. And,
I just know it affects our service, and it can't. And I'm not an IT guy, but it seems to me the more they engineer IT stuff, the more fragile it gets and the less it works. But that's just my take on it. So anyway, just wanted to give you a heads up on that stuff. And, you know, if you hear from a citizen that we didn't respond to something, it's probably because we're not getting the information like we should. And we're working on that, so. That's all I have, unless you guys have things for me. Or anybody here does. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Department head discussion. Did you see the email this morning from Dave in regards to the lift for the cupola that's gonna be
No, I
canceled?
didn't see it this
Okay,
morning.
so it's gonna be the 21st now?
21st?
Yeah,
Okay,
I guess they couldn't do the date that was down, so.
okay. Yeah. Does he have a time or no?
They didn't say
Okay, I'll
that.
talk to him.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
it's the 21st now.
Okay. Yeah.
Is that because it was this Friday when it's open?
Pardon me?
Was it for this Friday?
I had the date
Yeah.
down, but
So the courthouse is closed at noon, so that's probably why they changed.
any department head discussion from anybody?
The generator for our building, for the county services building is here, but the contractor that was going to install it does not have time to install it. So we'll have to find a contractor that is willing to install it. So I don't know what you guys think about that. I know the ARPA funds had paid for the generator,
Okay.
and the original quote did include installation, so.
I think the generator and the switch came in a little bit more than what was anticipated, so we'll have to see what I'll get a couple quotes from a couple of electricians. We'll have to see what that is. We might have to amend what we approved for the ARPA money, or I guess I don't know what a new quote for electrical would come in at, but
There's still some money in that fund, correct?
yes, there was supposed to be. I talked to Rachel about it yesterday, and we gotta figure out it kind of depends on the HVAC system too, what that comes in at, but there was supposed to be some left.
Wow.
Yeah. So. That sound right? We get a couple quotes from a
Yep.
couple electricians and see where we're at, okay?
Yeah.
All right.
Then, I don't know, I guess, comment on the carpenter sewer. I went to their meeting Sunday night. The only quote I can get is from AJ Stone, and it's $2,000 a month. He wants a 1-year contract. They're not in favor of that, because, you know, the bill would have to go up $20-30 a month probably to cover that, so. Now, there's a couple other people out there that might possibly, so I'm still trying to figure that out, but
Okay.
they had some people, but then they backed out, so. Couple different people, but now, got a couple new ones now, just developed after Sunday, so that they kind of found and sent in my direction, so. So maybe next week I'll have more to report on it, I don't know,
All right.
because Mike wants to be done by the end of the month, so there ain't much time left, and AJ could take over anytime, he said, so.
Okay. Well,
I don't know. Dude, if I can only, like Carpenter, if we can only get one bid, can we just go with that? Is that, I mean, I had plenty of people looking, but nobody wants to commit to it. I don't know. Is that,
I don't know,
they question whether is that legal to take somebody if you only have one bid?
I don't know what else you would do.
Well, I know. I mean, I've had
I mean, you know,
3, 4 people that potentially were gonna do it, but then they changed their mind.
I mean, you know, it's a practical matter.
Right. I mean, that was a question they questioned me was,
What else you gonna
council
do?
did, why can you do it if you only have one bid? Well,
I mean, you know, if somebody were to question me about it, I'd say, well, somebody's got a better idea, I'd love to
well,
hear it.
that's what I told them, and then now I got a couple names shot my way
Yeah.
Sunday night, so I've been in contact with them, but I haven't got a price or a commitment yet. So they're looking too, which is good, you know, I mean,
is everybody bidding the same? I mean,
the same scope
same,
of
sir,
work,
I mean, they're.
the same
yeah.
scope of work, yeah.
Okay.
It's just that, I don't know. The other two changed their mind, they just didn't get involved. There's some conflict over there with some people, and And I did ask about that, we got $1,000 less last month, but they said some people pay a year at a time, but there is some people not paying again, so.
And I
I
just
don't know.
printed this morning, just as an idea, I'm assuming you're gonna have to raise the rates. So their reserve fund is supposed to have, and this is a USDA thing, not a Mitchell County thing, the amount for a full year's payment in case people aren't paying like this.
Yep.
That should have $15,630 in there, and it
Okay.
has $1,346.
That's all the total fund has in it right now.
Because we've had to keep pulling from that to pay for bills out of their regular account because of like parts and whatnot that Mike had to fix.
Oh, right. And
Just a regular service.
Mike's been repairing the pumps and just charging for the parts, and I'm sure probably whoever we get is gonna send the pumps off, so that's gonna cost more too, I mean, I don't
So
know.
whatever the new rates will be, we're gonna have to have even a little bit more to build that up to the 15,000.
Yeah, and that will probably take a while. Currently, the way that's being done is 90% gets put in the account that is paying for like whoever our contractor is, and then any supplies or service that needs to be done, and 10% goes to the reserve fund.
Oh,
Is that it?
So it's just a little amount, but we had total year to date, or full fiscal year, $3,202.04. But we've had a full $2,367.94 out to help pay it other things.
I don't like to charge people stuff, but it's a service that they need to do.
And on top of that, we also had that little loan.
Is that loan paid off?
They have paid us back for that.
Oh, that internal loan.
$2,500.
Okay, that's taken care of, okay.
I mean, if one guy's gonna walk away from it, you gotta provide the service.
Yes,
And if
the
there's
DNR says
only
you
one
have to
person
have
that
someone.
wants to do the service, I mean, I don't know how you,
Right, because the DNR requires it. so-
Yeah.
And I don't know if I can talk Mike into staying longer. I mean, he doesn't want to. He's got a job in Rochester that he's commuting to, going 10, 12 hours a day. And,
and there might be a point where he just says, I'm done.
well, I think he's about to that point, the way he kind of indicated, which, I mean, he's given us a couple months' notice. So I don't know. Might have to go with AJ Stone if nothing develops.
Well, just let us know next week.
Yeah.
If it's something we need to put on the agenda also, by all means, get ahold of Rachel and get it on the agenda too.
Because then we're gonna have to update the price. I suppose we have to have a public hearing and all that, right? For
An ordinance.
So if you,
changing the ordinance.
if you know something before next week, by all means, get it on the agenda and we can
Yeah,
start moving on
I'll
it.
try to get something resolved by next week, because the end of the month's gonna be here before.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
okay, that's my update on that.
Any other department head discussion? Okay. County engineer update.
Morning.
Good morning.
I have a resolution for you for the bridge on 105. I gave Rachel the updated one. There was some errors in the document, just a little spelling error of sorts, but,
In the resolution?
yeah, I gave her a different one.
Okay.
The only thing was the Minowa construction was grouped together. It needed the space, and then I
Okay.
used another document when I put it together, so.
Supposed to be dash to the parent 83.
Yeah, but when Word doesn't put dash, it puts a solid line in there, and I can't fix that, so that's always been that way too. So reviewing things, a lot of the small dirt work items were what was a little bit more expensive than what we had thought, but you got small quantities, they're gonna charge you more for those smaller quantities, so, with that, I'm gonna recommend that we award the contract to Minowa Construction, for the amount of $1,071,339.90 to do that bridge. And
So it's resolution 1162-23, is that correct, Rachel?
Yep.
Okay. I'll just say the highlights of it. It's Bridge E081, that's the one that's east of Carpenter. Bridge replacement project, VRS-CO66, parent 83-60-66, bridge replacement. 1 million. Let's see, 1,074,330.
does it say 74?
71. 1,071,339.90. And we're allowing the county engineer, Rich Brown, to to execute the contracts in connection with the awarded construction project. 4th of April, 2023. So I'll accept a motion for that resolution.
I'll make a motion to accept that resolution for the E081 bridge replacement project.
Okay, Myers made a motion. Is there a second?
Okay.
Arco seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing none.
Roll call, Mark.
Aye.
Mike.
Aye.
Sydney. Jim.
Aye.
Tom.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
One other bit of news now. I got an email and the grant project I submitted for Monument Avenue up through Stacyville and those side streets is now gonna be advanced again. So there's gonna be more work on that. But I think it's now gonna be time. I'm gonna start planning. We still don't know when they're gonna award grant money and everything like that, but now I'm gonna really start planning a little bit more with the city. Their costs won't be near as much as ours, but man, we can get, so the last question, they asked another question over the week when I was gone, but I was able to answer it with my phone through email, was, we're always uncertain whether we're gonna have an 80-20 split, where 80% is federal and 20% is local farm to market. If they reduce the amount of cost share to 70%, they want to know, well, if it's 70%, is your project still a go? I answered yes. The reason I answered yes is that's still 70% of $7.2 million to get to the county. And we can try to supplement with STP money. I didn't turn a project with STP money in to our applications this year because we only have about a balance of $390,000 in that fund. That doesn't pay for much of a project. And if I'm going to do a project, I want a substantial amount of money in there. But we can supplement that federal aid with STP dollars to do that project too. So we can come up with another, maybe the District 2 engineers will let us run negative a little bit. So we could probably put as much as $500,000 into that from the STP fund yet to help subsidize that, but we still got to watch. The other subsidy would be the farm to market fund or local money. It's really hard to use local money with federal aid because you're paying the farm to market account. There's all kinds of logistics with those kind of payments when you're using local money, farm to market, federal aid, and then STP, which is federal aid also. The maximum any project can have with federal aid is 80%. So if they give us 70% of the grant fund, we can substitute the other 10% with STP if we want to, if we have the money, but we still got to come up with that other 20% yet also. So I'm going to work with the city to find out, what they can do. The way that the 28E agree is set up right now, just with the regular maintenance, is they get their farm to market jurisdictional transfer funds every month from us. And that's supposed to take care of everything outside the traveled portion of the road, which is the 22-foot or 24-foot, depending on how wide the road is. The county maintains the 24-foot paved section. So the curb and gutter is the city's, the roadway is the county's, to maintain through the 2080 agreement. This project is, I think even in the 2080 agreement says when we get to a project, we start looking at other agreements because it's a lot of money. Now we'll have to discuss what we think is fair for everybody else too. There will be manhole adjustments, water valve adjustments. Probably they repaved all of their parking area a year or two ago. So don't really want to get into that. And that's kind of the established grade line for the road. So we'll have to see how that all plays in, but there's still going to be sidewalk accessibility things that are going to have to be paid for by the city because it's their sidewalk. So the ADA compliance stuff's going to play a part in it. Right now we've submitted it with, I think, widened shoulders on Monument from 218 into town. So that'll reduce the maintenance on bringing shoulders in all the time with trucks and water runoff and everything else. It'll reduce that.
So there won't be gravel,
There'll be gravel, but it won't be as much gravel. I think the shoulders out there are almost 5 foot now. So we'll take that from a 5-foot gravel shoulder to a 2-foot gravel shoulder, a 3-foot paved shoulder.
Okay.
So a lot of design elements that need to be figured out yet. A lot of, we'll probably, I'll contact the city's consultant because they are familiar with the city and the utilities there. And we'll probably be working with that consultant to design the city portion of the project, because they'll have all the survey equipment, the designs, everything else that they need to figure out with runoff and everything else. So there's maybe some consultant costs there too that I think the city should probably end up paying for those consultant costs, because their storm sewer system and their runoff, everything else, but a lot of work to be done. We're having a pre-grant meeting this week, so just wanted to let you know that we're gonna push forward. If we can get even $6 million or $5 million from the federal government, I don't know why we wouldn't try to get it in this county instead of giving it to somebody else. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be a big project, but we'll get that, the town will get cleaned up really nice if we put a new concrete in the town.
Is their FM allocation then that would be designated to this project?
Well, we could,
I'm
we
asking
could-
that question, so.
well, right, yeah, so I don't know with the 2080 agreement, the way it's written now, they could designate that money to pay their portion of what their costs could be. I don't know what they use that money for now. I think a lot of small towns get that money in their account and it gets used for a lot of things.
That's why I'm asking that question.
Right. But if you really want to put your money where your mouth is, that's what that money is for that portion of the right of way that the county's not taking care of. So I think they understand that well, but with every small town, you're trying to make ends meet the way it is. But now when you got a project coming up, maybe, and I know they've got a lot of other things going on in town too. They're trying to improve the town. So they've got money that they plan on spending for other things too. So I just have some bid item ideas that, they're going to be responsible for. The biggest expense is probably for them is going to be the engineering. And then, big expense for us in town is the actual pavement. We're responsible for those, and it's Monument all the way up to the north, and then it's going to be the two farm market extensions out, at least to the bridge going east and to the city limits going west. At least we get out of town. When we do a project again, we don't have to disrupt in town to do any other work in town when we do projects in the future. So
That will be a big project.
it will be a big project. But without federal grant money, I don't know how we would ever accomplish it.
Never happened, yeah.
And yeah, we probably didn't have to add the pavement from Monument to Stacyville, but if you want to make a big project, might as well make a big project. So we don't know where we're going to get it, but now my programming is going to be set to look forward to say, we're going to assume we're going to get it, and we'll just see what happens. I mean, we've got to juggle a lot of projects around with the FM balances and everything else. So, for example, in Worth County, I might have to not pave 2 projects for 2 years because I need money for another project in the following year for the STP money that I already programmed. So the money's getting tighter and tighter. Just want you guys to know that. But if we can get some federal aid, I think it's in our best interest to do what we can to supplement that funding to make sure it still goes for the county and the city. So,
The question, if this goes, and what year would you think it is?
I think I've got it in fiscal 27. I think that because they want to know, well, if this goes, will you be able to build it within X amount of years?
Yeah.
And I think fiscal 27 is highly obtainable to put a design in and do a letting and everything
Yeah,
else.
you'll have enough time to get it.
Yeah, but I need to really start sitting down with the city and their consultant and say, here's what we're looking at. But I won't be doing that until after I get done with our meeting with it's a different consultant group now that's going to do the grant writing. So we're going to have another one of those. I think we answered that question right. So we'll have another one of those 2080 agreement things where, we're going to hire these people to do the grant, and then we're all taking care of our own projects. It'll be similar to the BRIC project that we submitted a while back.
So by then, that STP fund and the FM fund will.
Not really. I mean, the FM fund could bounce around, but we already have projected STP dollars to fiscal 27 already, which is $400,000 or less.
So that, your estimate, I thought it was.
We every year we put in applications for the next 4 years.
Okay.
And with the balance that we receive every year, it isn't a lot. Usually it's about every 5 years we can have a substantial amount of money to do a project, except for example, I told Worth County last week, that we put an application in and I put us about $1 million in the hole because there was $1 million left for the project. And if I can get that money, just that we're going to be we won't be able to put an application in with the group for a while, but whether we wait or whether we do something, it's still money coming to the county to do a project that saves them from having to use the farm to market account. So I don't try to go that deep in the hole. It's happened before with other counties, and it just takes a while to get out of that hole.
Yeah, right.
But it's not like it's wasted money either.
Right.
You've used money in advance at lower cost than you would have if you waited. So,
Right.
but I don't plan on putting us that deep, but the money was available, and when we discussed it, we had a substantial amount of money left after the applications were done, and I volunteered it for Worth County. So, because I know we've got other things to look at here, and now knowing that, I can put an application in yet for another year, depends on how this whole grant thing comes out. So, but I think it's in our best interest to try to grab as much money as we can from the federal government.
Yep, I agree.
So,
Yep, sounds good.
that's all I've got for you this morning.
Any questions for the engineer? All right, we're good, thank you.
Thank you.
Environmental health update.
So to start off, I wanted to give you an update on the water tests promotion that I'm doing. So the last set of postcards just went out this morning. So that was a total of like 1,800 postcards all throughout the county regarding the promotion. I'm currently booked out into September, like the last week of September, because I haven't been booking anything for the 12 weeks that I'll be gone, just because I don't know if we have someone to cover. But right now, yeah, we're booked out all the way up until the last week of September, which is great. I wish that I could start booking them into that 12 weeks, but other than that, like a hiring update, I don't have one. I haven't received any applications, so I really don't have a choice other than to just book those water tests into September. My contractors are aware that I'll be gone for 12 weeks. I had that meeting on March 17th, and they have a lot of questions on who's gonna fill in when it comes to permits and stuff like that. I don't really have answers for them at the time, so just trying to figure that out. But the water test update is going really, really well. We submitted the grants to county quarter number 2 submission. For a while, grants to county was down and I wasn't able to submit. So we actually got that submitted in February instead of the very first week of January. So that one went in for $3,147, just with the amount of water tests that I've taken this quarter, which just ended on Friday. I'm expecting like a $6,000 submission to the state for quarter 3. So obviously that's a huge jump. It's almost $3,000 just because of water tests. So I think that's awesome. When it comes to my budget, I'm sitting really well right now. Obviously my revenue has been up all year, but for the expenses, I'm under the total percentage for the year that we're kind of expected to go in. So yeah, I'm under on all of my funds, so I'm pretty happy about that. I conducted pumper inspections. So the DNR, they require that every person who pumps out septic tanks, their equipment needs to be inspected to make sure that, it's adhering to code, and if they're driving down the road, they don't have sludge falling off into the street and all that kind of stuff. So I conducted 2 inspections, one for inside the county and one that is actually located outside of the county. So if I didn't do that, then we would pretty much just lose out on the money, and the DNR would conduct it themselves. But because I did it, we're looking at another $1,300 to come back to the department. And it took me, a couple hours and over a couple days to be able to inspect that. I had to inspect their fields, that one of the contractors' land applies to, make sure that it's adhering to slope percentage and all of that kind of stuff. They're set back far enough away from the rivers, all of that. So I did that. Again, I had my contractor meeting on March 17th. We had about 14 people in attendance, which I would say is really good. That's about what we had last year, but there were some individuals this year that weren't there last year, so I thought that was pretty good. So I talked to them about a couple things, but there was one new thing that I wanted to address to them, and I had them sign a photography and videography waiver. So that way when I'm on site with them, I can take pictures of them if they sign this waiver. So that way I can post it to the Mitchell County Environmental Health Facebook page. So I do have some of my contractors who have signed that. The ones that obviously don't sign it, I'm not going to take pictures of them. I'm not going to post it because they didn't sign that waiver. But the ones that did will go up on the Facebook page. I think it's good promotion, not only for them, but also for my department. So we started that this year. And then the last thing, I attended the IEHA annual business meeting, and it was during the annual public health conference. I normally wouldn't have gone just because the cost for environmental health is quite a bit for what is actually offered for environmental health for the conference itself. But I was actually required to go because I got this sweet plaque, and so I've been honored with Rookie of the Year for 2022, 2023. So nobody in the region that currently works in our region has ever received the award. So I just wanted to brag about that a little bit.
Give applause.
Thanks. So it'll be hanging up in my office and all of that good stuff. And I just wanted to bring that to your guys' attention that I may be newer, but I am doing my job, so. And it's being recognized throughout the state, so that's pretty awesome. Other than that, I don't have anything unless you guys have questions.
I've got a couple.
Yeah.
You mentioned, where are we advertising for your job? We need to, where are we putting that up?
I've called NIAC twice. I've emailed them. I've emailed Iowa State. I have emailed both high school, St. Ansgar and Osage High School, their FFA programs. I've put it on Facebook on my personal page, and then I've also had economic development share it a couple times for me. It's advertised upstairs. I've advertised it to my contractors, and maybe that in hopes that they could reach out, have someone maybe from their company who's part-time help out or something like that. I've had a couple of them take applications, but I haven't seen any in return. I've advertised.
You have been advertising.
I've been advertising. It's just, it's a hard job to fill. There's quite a few tasks for the amount of time that the position is open. Not to mention, it's a temporary position. Most people are gonna want something that is gonna be consistent and follow through after 12 weeks, and we just can't offer that. And it's part-time, so.
Did you post it at the chamber? Did you say that?
I reached out to Shelby, but I haven't heard anything back, so.
What about Indeed?
I haven't gone that far. No.
How does that work? Is there a fee to do that, or how does that work?
No.
Okay.
Laura?
It is free. We use it, and we have received applications through it in the past.
I think she could use Laura's account if she needed to.
Yeah, I can look into doing something like that, yeah. And then it was also suggested that I reach out to conservation to see if maybe they would share somebody with my department. The only issue I have with that, and it's it's kind of a big issue, is my job is, most of the time, it's not on call, but it's a lot of schedule switching. One day, you know, you're gonna have water tests, and then the next, like, while you're taking those water tests, you're gonna have a contractor call you and say that they wanna set up a site evaluation for later that day. And that's really hard with someone who's splitting jobs, because if they want you here at conservation for a certain amount of hours, and then you're expected to work my job for a certain amount of hours, the crossover is really, really hard. So I will call conservation and I will ask them if they have something available for that, but it may be difficult just schedule wise.
I wonder if they have more applications than what they have spots for, and they might have
Right.
somebody that's.
And that's why I want to still reach out to them. I was gonna do it yesterday, but I was really busy with water tests and emails and all that kind of stuff, so I didn't have time to reach out to them.
I know their maintenance or their mechanic, they have a number, I think 13 applications or something for that, so. But, I mean, again, they probably want a full time, yeah.
Yeah,
Don't know, but
yeah,
Well, just get a hold of them, get a hold of Laura.
Yep.
I know they hire part-time younger people to help mow and stuff in
Right.
the summer too, so. I
Right.
don't know.
That's what I was wondering, if they had more apps for that than
For
we
that,
needed, and
they
then
could,
maybe,
yeah.
well, we don't have nothing for you, but there's
Yeah.
this one here, and
Yeah,
Mhm. Yeah, it's just, I'd like to get someone in, you know, by next month.
Yeah.
And that may be difficult, just with time passing and not receiving any applications. I was really hopeful, and it's starting to get down to the wire where it's like, okay, we need to get somebody in here, so.
same thing would be possibly with the Osage Park and Rec or St. Ansgar, if people apply, younger people apply to work for those jobs, and it's same thing.
Right,
Well, all of our applications have been filled, but
right,
if there's a job at the courthouse you might be interested in.
Yep.
Maybe you could reach out to St. Ansgar and Osage and.
yep, and I think we did talk a little last week. I think he's also having a hard time
Okay.
finding people.
Okay.
It's just, those temporary jobs are so hard to fill, especially for college students. I mean, back when I was in college, I wanted the service industry, just because that's where you got pretty much all your cash and all your tips and all of that kind of stuff. So, but this looks really good on a resume. Like, this job would look awesome for any college student, even if it's not the field that you're going into, it does look great on a resume. So.
Okay.
We'll get there.
Yeah, we will.
I mean, worst case scenario is I'm going on maternity leave, and I'll see you guys in 12 weeks.
You're not gonna delay things, or, okay.
So.
And then one other question,
Yep.
the contractors that attended your
Mhm.
conference, are they all the certified contractors, or were there some that were not?
Mixed.
Okay.
So, I do have some contractor licenses already issued for this year. Let's see. One of them was not, and then the other 3 were certified.
Okay, I just wondered if.
Yeah.
If it was a mix or what.
Yep, so it's usually always gonna be a mix, just because, you know, most of the contractors, they just don't have time to go and take the classes and all of that kind of stuff. But, yeah, I thought it was a really good meeting. They had really, really good questions. And I'm hoping that we can get some more contractor licenses issued within the next 2 weeks or so. I'll probably send out a reminder text to them, just because they're busy. You know, that's not the first thing on their priority list, but before septic systems go in, so they do need to have that license. And then speaking of septic systems, we had our first site evaluation yesterday. So it's gonna start getting real busy here real soon. So I'm excited about it.
All right,
Okay.
thank you.
Yep.
Anything else for me? We're good, thank you.
Okay.
Mitchell County Home Health, Public Health Update. Good morning.
Good morning. All right, well, we had a board meeting last Friday, so just giving you an update on what we talked about last week. So last week, or last time I was here, I think I talked to you guys about language line, that we were gonna work on getting that, to help with any, language barriers that we have. So we got the contract signed, we got it all set up on our iPads. We actually did, Jessa used it for immunization appointment a couple weeks ago. Worked well. So we'll have that service for all of our home health and public health residents that use our services. So I think there's like 200 different languages and also sign language as well. So I think that'll be a great asset that we have for our agency now, because we do see it every now and then, and I think we're going to see it more and more. So a new requirement that came up, electronic visit verification that we need to use for our home health patients. It's actual federal requirement that the states have to do. So there was a law signed in 2016, the 21st Century Cures Act, that is requiring that it's not just home health, but the home health one is the one that's going to be implementing next, that electronic visit verification. So ours is going to be done requirement of January 1st, 2024, and for all of our staff, aides, therapists, and nurses. What it does, it monitors our location and it puts a timestamp on, and it's an application that we have to time in and time out. It tracks where we're at, the time, which our electronic medical record already does that. So we already have that feature, but unfortunately the state has to use an app called CareBridge. And so they will have to actually clock in twice when they go to the patient's home. So that's just a new requirement that's going to be coming up in January. So we're kind of working on that. We hope that our EMR was going to integrate with it, and we found out it actually does not. So we do have to actually document twice. So that is going to cause a little bit more staff time before and after a visit, and then it's going to affect a little bit of the billing side too, because of course we're not going to get paid if that's not done, and then we have to make sure everything all matches. So just a heads up on that's a new requirement coming up down the road. It's actually got pushed back due to COVID and other things, but it's going to stick this January 1st for sure. Already talked about the generator. Our expenses and revenues. So as of March 1st, I haven't gotten the revenue one for April yet. I'm sure I'm going to get it this week, but we are actually under on the revenues as of March 1st, 1.55%. But in March, we brought in about $102,000 in revenues. Normally that's about $70,000 or $80,000. So that's over twice as much as what we usually bring in. So I think the revenues will catch up and we'll be right on track on that when that revenue report comes through for March. Expenses, as of yesterday, the report came through, we were 0.41% over. So we may have to do an amendment on maybe one or two line items. I know our Medicare line item is over. Just to explain what's usually taken out of that, it's so when someone on home health is on our services and they're under Medicare, we have to pay for all of their expense or all of their supplies, medical supplies. And then of course we contract out with therapy. So if they need therapy, we have to pay for the therapist. It does reflect on our revenue side because the more patients we have on services, the more money we get. So that's something I can't see to the future, how many patients we're going to have. So that is something we may have to look at amending that one, because that one is above on expenses. The good thing is we got more revenue coming in due to that. So we're not too bad on that, on expenses and revenues. So our local public health grant for FY24, I actually just submitted this morning. The board approved it last week. We received $35,864 for fiscal year 24. It is $62 less than we did last year. I've noticed every year it goes down just a little bit more, and it's probably going to keep happening. It's just going to slowly keep going down. There's nothing we can do about that. 50% will go to help pay for the expenses on the population health, which is the public health services. A lot of what Jessa talks about that she does, that it's helping pay for that. And then 50% goes to non-population health, which helps offset the sliding fee scale that we have for our home health nurses and our aides. So by FY '27, 100% is required to go to the population health, public health services. So they're just kind of slowly tapering it down. We used to do 100% to the home health services, but the new requirement is saying it's going to public health, which it shouldn't affect anything. That is now a 3-year contract versus a 1-year contract. And then on the home health side, our census is about 79. It was on Friday. I think it's about the same today. For the month of March, we had about 22 admissions. Most of it was Medicare and Medicaid. 12 discharges. The reason for discharge, most of it was due to the goals met, which is good. That's what we want to see. Or a change in level of care. They may have gotten worse and were hospitalized or transferred to hospice. Majorities of our referrals for the month of March came from Mercy One, Mason City, or the Osage Clinic. And just a heads up, we are kind of due for our Department of Inspections appeal from the state this fall, so it could be any time. So
Do they just pop in?
they do. They just pop in on a Monday and surprise. So, and they usually stay for about a week. It'll be 3 years in November, and they do it every 3 years. But they could show up at any time. So, our last one was a good one. So, I don't see them coming too early, but you never know. You never know. So we're just getting prepared and ready for that. So, just throwing it out there, we're still hiring for a full-time or a part-time registered nurse. And then I'm always interested in bringing in PRN home health aides. So just have somebody helping out on vacations. The next board meeting is set for April 28th at 12 here in Osage. And then just letting you guys know it's National Public Health Week this week from the 3rd through the 9th. So I plan on pushing out some stuff on Facebook, kind of talking about our public health services. Because there's a lot of things that we do that people don't realize. So feel free to share those things out there on Facebook.
Any questions?
Yep.
Any questions for
Yeah,
me?
any questions for me?
I have a couple.
Yep.
So the CARES bridge, is there a fee for that?
It is not. As of right now, it's free. It actually, the question was asked at a conference last week. You know, it may be free now, but later on, is it going to charge? We don't know that. And at that point, there's really nothing we can do about it because we have to use that vendor. But as of right now, it's free.
Okay.
Yep. And
then you talked about amending the budget. What are we looking at, Rachel, for the next amendment? Any ideas? What the date?
Yes, if you want one sooner than later, we can do it whenever.
Is it, I just assumed do one
Yeah.
if it could wait.
When are you doing the next one?
Normally we do one in May.
Okay.
But I mean, we can always do it in April. I was gonna possibly bring it up during the substance abuse, because I know that we have the one act way back. That if there's more stuff going on, maybe sooner, just so that's done and we can get it all put through.
Do you think if we did it in April, it would be good for the rest of the year, probably? Maybe?
No.
No? Okay.
There's always gonna be
Alright.
someone in June,
Okay,
but
okay.
I'm fine with doing one in April.
Is there enough in your budget, you're just gonna shift some things around?
Yeah, I mean, overall, we're not sitting bad, but I just know there's like 1 or 2 items that if I adjusted those, I'll be fine.
So for overall budget, you'll be fine, it's just.
Yeah,
you're moving.
well, if things keep going, it's hard to say with that Medicare line item, it's gonna keep going up. So I think I really do need to amend that one the next time we do an amendment.
Okay,
So,
that's all I had.
So I'm just gonna give you guys an update of what I've been up to since our last board meeting, or since I last reported to you guys in February. So CPR classes, I've had a total of 5 CPR classes. 4 have been BLS, so basically healthcare workers or anyone in the healthcare field. And then another one was an OSHA approved adult first aid and CPR for infant and adult, which was at the landfill, the FMC landfill. I am in the works with the CRC to offer free CPR classes to the community. I get reimbursed for my time through a grant that we have, but just kind of a focus, as I think I'm passionate about it, and I think it's important for individuals to be knowledgeable and aware of CPR and how to provide it. So something that I'm working on, possibly for May. But blood pressure screenings, I assessed a total of 63 blood pressures throughout the county, and made 3 referrals, I guess 2 referrals to the clinic and 1 to the emergency room, just based off of the assessments. Immunizations, I've seen 33 patients in either out and about with Mennonites or in our building, and have given a total of 51 vaccines since the last meeting, a mixture of VFC and private pay vaccines within that 51 for that number. I did travel a couple weeks ago out to the Mennonite area, went to 4 houses, and a lot of individuals come in and provided vaccines for them. So back at that, and it was really successful, as always, and I see it continuing to build up just as the word gets out and they communicate amongst each other. I did have my quarterly report for the immunization grant that was due at the end of February, so that's been turned in and completed. North Iowa Mutual Aid, so I'm working alongside the director, Natasha, for a community pantry and a community fridge for the Stacyville area. Why I am doing this is because I've had lots of individuals from the Stacyville area reach out to me. They lost their grocery store. They don't have a lot of access. There's quite elderly population there in Stacyville. So what could we do? So community pantry, what it is, it's kind of like an old newspaper box, and the dry goods get put in there. And then for the community fridge, it'll be, we're discussing locations, but a location for that community fridge to put more produce, milk, those types of things. So I know the other counties have all have food, or not counties, excuse me, areas, larger areas have food banks, Osage, St. Ansgar, Riceville. And so I meet with the council on next Monday, to discuss this further, kind of find a location. Do they want this? Do they not want this? What it's going to look like? But a lot of them seem excited about it, and feel it's a need for their community. So hopefully more to come with that, and hopefully we can provide Stacyville folks with this as well too. We have started our CHA chip meetings a couple weeks ago. Going to continue that with continue on with meetings to finalize that CHA chip. So I know Todd and Cindy were both there, so thank you guys for coming. Todd did briefly go over it. I do want you guys to know we did discuss some other areas as far as daycare, transportation, access to specialty care, and affordable housing amongst the things that we chose. But we felt as a group that these were being implemented or working on already, or if they weren't being worked on, there was nothing that we could do as far as fund. We didn't have the funds to be able to do stuff for it. So the things we did talk about are that we are going to choose to go forward is mental health access, childhood immunizations, preventative health care, and healthy lifestyles and obesity. So we have a group of stakeholders that are meeting next Wednesday, just to come up with goals and objectives, for those priorities we chose. Something that reflects on these priorities that actually just came out. I haven't even shared this with my board yet because it just came out the other day, but the county health rankings and roadmaps have been released for Iowa, for everywhere, just the other day for 2023. And Mitchell County is ranked number 4 out of 99 counties for health outcomes, health factors. So what this is, they're released annually, and they're based on health factors, which include healthy behaviors, physical environment, clinical care, social and economic factors, as well as health outcomes, such as the quality of life and life expectancy. So what we do and why we do this CHA chip kind of reflects on where we are in our rankings as well too. We kind of make these decisions based on the data that's provided to us here. So how can we improve that, hopefully, to get us higher ranked? So that's a pretty big deal for Mitchell County to be ranked at that.
And I think we looked it up. We were 5th last year, so we are continuing to increase. So that's awesome.
Epi updates, reportable cases, had 1 crypto, 38 COVID. As of last Friday, COVID is no longer a mandatory reporting, so I will not have to report on that anymore, which it'll be involved more in that respiratory illnesses when I discuss that. Respiratory surveillance report, statewide activity is low, and Mitchell County area is low as well too. We're seeing quite a bit of norovirus going around, which is lasting around the 12 to 24 hours, which is common this time of the year to see that as well too. We are partnering or subcontracting for fiscal year 24 on a new grant that we'll be involved with is the Tobacco Prevention and Control Grant. So I do lots of work in this area, attending meetings and conferences, and just that time spent, I'll actually I have a grant that I can get reimbursed from now. Instead of pulling from our FEP grant or other grants, this will help provide that timing that I have. The board did approve my immunization grant for fiscal year 24. We got granted the same amount of money that I did this year, so $8,080. And so I turned that in on Friday after it got approved. VaxCare, I believe last time I briefly talked to you guys about VaxCare, so we're actually meeting with them today to finalize and get the whole setup done. So we are going forward with VaxCare. It's going to open up our opportunities. We can bill Part D Medicare, which is huge. We can bill any type of insurances. I'll have a lot more access to different vaccines as well in my clinic. So I'm really excited to get that officially going and starting that as well too. We'll see how that goes. So, and then public health conference. Last week I attended public health conference. I was gone Monday for a public health meeting, and then the conference is Tuesday, Wednesday in Ames. So as always, lots of good outreach sessions, lots of good education, and just the collaboration with other partners across the whole state, which is huge. So good couple days spent in Ames. So that's all that I have. Do you guys have any questions for me?
Any questions for Jessica? The vaccines, are you using a trailer or are you just using a vehicle when you go out to the sites?
So when I go to the Mennonites, I go into their homes. They do open their homes for me. During COVID, I wanted to stick with a trailer. During the summer months, I wouldn't mind using it out of a trailer. It's just easier, those types of things. But they are comfortable. We have a good relationship, so they are comfortable with me coming in. If there was someone who was hesitant about it, or if I do it not out of someone's home, maybe if I'm outside a church or something like that, that may be something. But right now I have several individuals that are opening their homes to me.
Okay.
So.
The pantry, community pantry, how does that work? I mean, is it something that who puts the stuff, who delivers the stuff, and do they pay for it to pick it up, or do they just go get it, or
so
how does that work?
How the stuff in the pantry gets into the pantry can be through donations, or I can go grocery shopping and pick up a couple of things, kind of like you donate to the food banks. Otherwise, I know like the North Iowa Mutual Aid has some individuals that can volunteer and fill the pantries as well too. So more information for that to come. I know lots of volunteer clubs. I know the 4-H centers or 4-H groups are always looking for things that they can provide in areas. So just that's going to be amongst our toxic conversation as well too. But it's worked in other counties and in areas. So I'm hoping that to provide them something. And you don't have to have like like the food banks, you have to have an income of a certain amount. There's no income requirements. So if you need something quick and hoping that the pantry has it, you can run there quick and grab it. Those types of things. So there's no requirements, but I know just there's an elderly population there and lots of individuals that don't drive. So that was a concern. How do we have access to this? I don't want to rely on my friends or my family all the time to get me groceries. Or take me places because I need a gallon of milk or whatever. So just something that hopefully we can go forward on, and hopefully it's a huge success.
And there's somebody that is there staffing it?
No. So you just walk in and get it. So the dry pantry, like the newspaper stand, will be based outside a location, so you can access the dry foods at any time. The cold storage will be put in somewhere, we talked about the library, we talked about the daycare. There's an old library there, just places that have longer hours, and at least open 5 days a week, sometimes 6 days a week. But there's an old library there, I know that was in discussion of, they could keep that open, like just the entryway of it at all times, and so that would be accessed at all times. So nothing set in stone, just conversations right now.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can find an idea, and they seem on board with it, the council does, and it really excited about it as well too, because
I
they know it's a
had no
need.
idea how it works, so I didn't know.
Yeah.
I was just wondering, so.
Yeah. So.
Okay,
Any other questions?
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Discussion and possible action on Substance Abuse Coalition opioid funding request. So we have opioid money, and who passed this out? This is something that I think Jessa sent this to me, I'm not even sure anymore, but. And so those numbers, I'll take one of those and we give that to them also. I think this is what you sent me. And the numbers that are on there are just stuff that, either the math as far as what she put down or estimates when there's a question mark, I just guessed. But, just, do you want to just talk about this a little? I mean, because this is kind of your deal, or?
Yeah, well, not my deal.
Well, I know, but, well,
I've been working on it, yeah.
these are ideas that they had as far as what we could use opioid money for. And the numbers that I came up with are, like I said, based on what their actual cost they feel would happen. And then the Narcan training for each of the fire departments, I had no idea what the reimbursement would be for that, so I just put down $1,000. Same with screening in schools. I mean, that's all to be determined, so again, I just put down $1,000. Mike, you had an idea in regards to transportation?
Well, transportation and the inpatient cost of people at juvenile detention centers, as long as they're in there for drugs, their room and board could come out of this too. That's what other counties are doing. So it's, it's going for treatment for.
I just guessed 1,000, but I had no idea.
I think it's $100 and some a day.
Okay.
I know in January, I think we had one in there for 31 days, so, that's. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
I just figured the transportation, but
The
it's the room and board too.
Room and
so-
board too is what they're doing, other counties are.
Do they provide specific training and education regarding opioid?
They do at Eldora, they
They
have
do,
counselors and everything out here, and I don't know what Waterloo does that, do they have?
I don't know.
They talked about it, and they were one of the few facilities that do have counseling and whatever, or for whatever you're in there for, you're kind of like a treatment center,
Sure, so specific to opioid, not just normal.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, they do it all, but,
Okay.
I mean, it depends on what you're in there for, they're gonna counsel you on what you're there for.
I think the MOU though doesn't specifically say opioid. I think the MOU says substance abuse.
Yeah,
The way
so
it's in there. It
Yeah,
doesn't really
Yeah.
say.
so it'd be somebody, if they're in there on drug charges, that's substance abuse,
Mhm.
correct? So, whether it's pot or whatever it is, still substance, so.
What do you think that 1,000, you gotta guess and what?
Well, I don't know what we spend a year on juvenile detention centers.
We just had 16 days at North Iowa Juvenile Detention Center, and it was a $2,400 bill
Okay.
for 16 days.
Okay.
That's $150 a day, so.
And that was that substance abuse related, or?
We have no idea.
No
We don't
idea.
get that information.
See, I get that information at the meeting. You go to the North Iowa one.
I go, but they don't really.
Well, they don't give you.
Well, they have a spreadsheet.
Yep.
That's there, but I don't have the number, I don't know.
Yeah, see, I get a spreadsheet too, and it says how many days Mitchell County was used for and what, whether it's first degree murder or whether it's drug, drug related, whatever.
I don't remember the.
But it doesn't have names. I don't know who they are, but I just know the days. And I think in January, we had somebody here for 31 days in Eldora, correct? You guys probably know that too, huh?
Yeah, and see, we get the names, we don't get the reason why they're there.
Yeah.
And another thing, some of the stuff on here isn't like a yearly thing. Yeah, I can do Narcan training for fire departments this year. It may be Narcan training for broad, public next year, and so that could always change. Also, when I was at the conference, I did learn about a pharmacy take back program for, I have in here the drug disposal bottles for each pharmacy. So there is a way that the pharmacies can partner with the state and get free little packets like this to hand out, and they get reimbursed themselves. So then there would be no cost for us to provide those disposal bottles too. So just having those conversations with the pharmacy, if you guys want to be part of this, it's free to be part of it. So just that education up there doing that, but then they get a kickback from providing these packets instead of us going out and buying those disposable bottles too. So that may not be, and I just found this out last week, so that may not be an expense either. So then there's a lot of money that can be provided too for those individuals, which I think is a good way to pay those funds as well too.
How much money is in the account, Rachel, do you recall?
$31,890.90.
Okay, so if we were to, to go to the transportation and fee for the juveniles, either one of them, how are we gonna know, I'm asking this to everybody, how are we gonna know that this is a substance abuse related transportation and stay? So now it can go to you and you will know how to pay it out of the opioid fund. I mean, I'm not sure how to do that circle.
Are you speaking transportation for juveniles seeking substance abuse or adults?
I'm speaking for any way we can use the money.
They probably don't,
We
whatever.
don't pay for juvenile. We're not paying it out of the juvenile budget anyways. I checked with Renee. She said you guys don't see those either.
Oh, so we don't
And
pay.
the sheriff's
Sheriff's
office doesn't
also
either.
doesn't. So we think that must be taken care of on like the JCO state level.
Okay.
Okay,
So we're not paying that transportation currently
okay.
for juveniles.
Okay.
Well, we're paying for the room and board for juveniles. I don't, what do we budget
Detention.
for juvenile detention? I don't know, what do we spend a year in that typically?
We budget 32,000 a year for juvenile services. We've used 21,335 this year so far.
But we don't know if that's substance abuse either. That's just, so there's really no way to know.
Well, I know.
Yeah, there would have to be some communication
Yeah.
if you guys are aware of what a person's in there for, but you don't know the names.
I don't know the names, but I know what they're there for.
Like, we're getting, we get
You know
different
it's from Mitchell
information.
County too.
Yeah, well, yeah, I got the whole packet, says every county.
I'll have to look closer on mine because I haven't specifically
Are
targeted it.
they residents of Mitchell County?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Juveniles of Mitchell County.
Okay, so
Yeah.
So that's something when we receive a bill, that's something that we kind of look into. We don't get a lot of information about juveniles just because of different laws, but we try to determine, because there have been some instances where a juvenile isn't a resident of Mitchell County, and so we're like, well, this isn't our bill to pay. So we do some checking on that, some checking just to make sure that.
And for juveniles, it goes by the custodial parent. If the custodial parent is a resident of Mitchell County, then we get the bill.
I was just wondering, Mike, if you could share that no-name list
I can.
with the financial people.
I can. I mean, I have a meeting there every other month. Every 2 months I could have
Does it give you like an invoice number or anything with it?
no, just has each county and their inpatient days and, or in-house days and the cost. That's what mine has.
Mine might be the same, like I said, didn't pay that close of attention to it specifically, so.
Okay, I know they go over every 2 months.
I think it would be beneficial to talk to the detention centers just to confirm that it is classified as actual substance abuse treatment and not just like, a group talking about substance use. Just if we're gonna use those dollars, I would just want to confirm that it's considered an actual treatment.
Yeah, well, that's, the other counties are doing it too, you know, and that's, that Tony Reed, the director, said that was, well, it's okay to do, I guess, or whatever you want to say. Because they do have counselors there too. They're one of the, some juvenile detention centers don't, they just put them in and they're just there spending their time, but they do counsel down there. But that's what they tell me, you know.
Sure, but that could be mental health counseling. I mean, you know, substance abuse is, you have to get certified for substance abuse counseling as well, so it could be a little bit different.
I think you and I have some questions to ask in regards to that part of it.
Yeah. But I think rather, you know, use some of that money for that purpose rather than taxpayer money.
If we can.
If we can,
Yeah.
yeah.
So then how, like, as far as allocating the money, again, like, you could have one person use $2,400, just, you know, 16 days, like we just gave the example. So, would you do just like a set amount of money for, like, per person or just a set amount of money and that could, it could be consumed by one person?
It could be, I mean, if the budget's.
I don't, you know,
Very good
it's like
question.
trying to figure out
Yeah.
how to allocate that, so.
Yeah, I mean, I think doing the other, you know, Crime for Life and all that stuff, do that first and whatever's maybe
I
left.
can ask some questions on our ends to get that nailed down a little bit better.
Yeah. So, I would think like, I could get more information from down there.
Yeah.
You probably could too.
Yeah, I'll have to look into it a little better.
Yep,
So,
because I think a lot of them go to Waterloo versus
Yeah.
Eldora.
cover the distance.
Is there an expiration date on that money?
I think it just is coming in and for
We
so
have to
many
send it.
years and we spend it, when it's gone, it's gone.
Okay.
You have to,
Go ahead.
I thought you were done.
No, go ahead.
Do you have to send back a report saying how it was spent to anybody?
It says it's gonna be audited.
It is gonna be honest.
Yeah.
Okay. I just wondered.
And we're totally in support of using the juvenile, you know, budget for that. That's really fine. I think there just needs to be some more communication because we get the bill and pay for it. So just to make sure that we're not, you know, double paying, you know,
Right, yep.
the facility and things. And so I think there'd just be some more communication between Rachel and us and you guys to find out
Yeah,
what,
I can find out more
who's
about
in there
it.
for
Right.
what reason. So
Yep.
make sure that it's substance abuse related.
So would it work to transfer 5,000 this next amendment and then for the next budget year, put another 5,000 in there?
And we can, yeah, we'll have to add, like, for next year, since that one's almost done. But we can, maybe I'll send out an email just for a amendment anyways, if people can get it by next Wednesday, so we can have it together. But maybe creating those line items, and I'll have to get with you about what some of them could be, just to create all of them and get it all added. And then is some of the stuff that you guys are talking about, is that like supplies mostly?
The supplies and reimbursement of time, you know, as far as going out and doing the trainings, but then you have like the feeder ads, the Crime for Life, which is separate. But like the drug disposal bottles may not even be a supply that we need, it's just my time of educating pharmacies and getting them signed up for all this as well too. And I guess my question, Jimmy said $5,000 for the next year. I mean, if we're sitting at bills for one individual for $2,100, it's $5,000, you know.
Yeah, that's where I think Mike and myself need to figure out if it's even gonna work for that avenue. And I was just proposing to get a start on it, and then we're gonna have to figure out. I don't really know how to track that real well, because it's kind of vague to me, at least right now.
Yeah.
I'd like to use it, but we have to make sure it's gonna work, so.
Would it work putting the total amount in the budget, so it's at least budgeted for where you guys still have to approve? I don't wanna say case by case, but then it's in the budget, so we don't have to amend.
Okay.
I mean, put the full amount in and then
Yeah.
Huh?
I don't know. I'm just trying to-
it's there.
Well, what works easiest for you?
Yeah.
Well, I think then you wouldn't have to do an amendment each time, it's at least in the budget, but still, I don't know.
So the amount that you said was in there, what you would propose is to just put that in there and
Build line items and have those line items add up to the 31,890.
Okay.
And then, I mean, you can go over on the line item, you just can't go over like the total budget, so then if it has to be kind of moved around, that's kind of at your guys' discretion. I don't know.
if that's easiest for you, I'm good with that.
I have another question. Okay, we were supposed to get 5,000 a year, we got over 30,000. Is that gonna happen every year or?
Well, I think it was, you can correct me if I'm wrong, there's a couple different companies where some, like one was paid all, like a couple of years at a time. And then there was one where it was like a couple of months they paid. I think, I don't know, however they're set up to do it, really.
You look at me.
Yeah, I'm looking at you.
I was talking to you too.
I would have to, I don't remember, I'd have to look.
My understanding of it was that we got like X amount for 17 years, and then just recently we got about another $1,000 added on to that X amount for the 17 years or 18 years, whatever. So I think right around $7,000 probably per year was my understanding of all, reading through everything, and then the new thing that came. But I could be wrong on that as well.
Well, I think that's, isn't that Rachel? I mean,
Well, that's how I took it until we got like that second check that was like $20,000.
Well, see, that's the thing.
I didn't know.
It's prepaid, they paid ahead, and so it won't necessarily be 5,000 a month or a
And it was
year.
different companies too. So
Yeah,
I just received it in by the company in the dollar.
There was,
The email that I had read on that, it said you could apply for, if it wasn't a whole lot, you could apply for the lump sum. But we never did, and we got this big sum.
yeah,
So we really don't really know what happened.
right. And I didn't ask any questions. You know, I mean,
Well, just, let's, if that's easier for you, just put what we have in there, do it that way. And, it's definitely gonna be one of those things where if there's no funds in it, it's gone. It's not like all of a sudden now we have to make up because when the funds are gone until the next budget year.
And what department do you plan on putting that in?
Well, so
You have it in 53 right now. Did you add a line item to 53 for it?
I haven't added anyone, that's what I'll have to work on. So, and the fund is like 1003, I want to say. So I'd just be trading out those lines under that fund, probably under the systems use.
So we shouldn't use any of these funds until it's amended in April, May, whenever you guys amend, correct? So
If you use them, we just have to do like a reimbursement.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that kind of, you know, is that just wait? Okay.
It doesn't matter, it's more of a thing for you, I guess.
So if she does any time for this, it just will get
You can
reimbursed
turn it in,
after.
we just can't pay it until we get it.
And I'll keep you guys updated when I come in. I'll let you know where we're at too, of what I've done, working on, just so you guys are well aware too. And if there's something new that comes, I'll make sure to bring it to you guys, you know, upon discussions or, hey, we could use this, you know, just those conversations, keeping you guys. Or should I come to you before I even initiate something? Or, I mean, if it's not on this list, how do we go with it?
It's probably best to come before, just so we're
So what else
aware.
stuff on the list already? Is it okay to start initiating that stuff, or do I need to come to you
Well,
guys?
we won't be over the 30,000.
Oh, no.
So is the board okay with it? With what's down here, or?
I'm okay with it.
Mike, did you have?
I have one other thing I was gonna say. When I was at that meeting down there, there's supervisors from all other counties and 13 or whatever. They're all getting more money than they expected. And what was kind of the consensus was that there's some counties that didn't sign on for this because they didn't do the legwork, whatever. Well, now that money is being distributed to the counties that did sign on, is what I was told. But whether that's true or not, I don't know. That's what one guy said. That's why everybody's getting more than what they expected. So I don't know if we're gonna get 30,000 every year. Nobody seems to know, but. So whether that's true or not, I don't know. That's what was said at that meeting. So we're not the only ones with extra money.
Sounds like a good problem.
Yeah, that's what everybody thought, yeah.
So I don't know if we're clear on all of that or not, or are we? Maybe.
Well, it says possible action, so do we have to? Don't have to, okay.
But isn't there another wave of money coming from that other 4 pharmacies that are getting sued? Wasn't there Walgreens and?
I think that's everything you just submitted.
Yeah,
So
there's, yeah, just some paperwork that was just submitted is for, yeah, separate.
So there's gonna be more probably coming.
Should be. I think, I have to look and see, all this stuff kind of runs together, but I think they sent a schedule of what they expected us to get. I don't remember, I shouldn't look at Rachel because I'm putting her on the spot.
Well, no, I opened it too, and there's so much.
And I have to look, I'll do that, I keep all that stuff. I'll see if there is, a proposed chart, but yeah, I mean, my assumption is if everything goes through, that there'll be a little more money coming. So I'll try and find that and see it, and maybe I can forward it to you guys. So you can kind of see what's expected.
So the stuff that's on the sheet that's been typed, not my writing, but what's typed is what the requests have been.
Okay.
Do we, I'm asking a question now, do we approve those, or are we just good because we're putting it in the budget? I'm trying to figure out a direction we need to go here.
Well, you guys will have to approve the budget amendments.
Mhm.
Is that approved?
And then you'll have the line items in there.
Yeah.
And so the actual approval could be, because we're approving the budget amendment. Okay. All right. And so these items, these are gonna actually be line items that are in the budget then for
Yeah,
the
we'll agree on
expenditures.
the line item.
Okay.
Yep.
I thought it was just gonna be as easy as far as here's some opioid money and disperse it as needed, but I forget the budget is.
Yeah.
That way.
I'd imagine you do like media training,
Yeah.
like pretty general, and then you can,
Yes, and then you guys can put it under whatever.
sure.
Okay. So we can wait till the budget amendment and the approval will get that time. Is everybody good with that? No. All right.
So just to be clear, it's the things that you have listed, if there's other things that come up that aren't on this list, you want us to come to you before, like if we were to get a detention center bill, we would come to you before we take that, before we allocate dollars. to it.
Yeah, and those won't be on those won't be a line item unless we create that. That's where it's iffy, because then we don't know if you get a bill, was it a substance abuse bill? Then are we gonna go to our sheets and will it say that?
I can have a conversation with the juvenile court officer too and see if he can get that information to us. I know we can't get it from like the clerk of court. She can't give us court orders and stuff for juveniles, but maybe the JCO can communicate that to us when he knows there's a substance abuse.
And the thing would be, you say other counties are doing that, well, maybe they could explain how they're doing that.
Well, because
How,
they're in there for drug abuse and it's that's their treatment is going to detention center, I guess, and then they're getting counseling there.
I could probably figure out myself who's I mean, I, as far as I know, every kid from here that goes to detention probably goes through, our office is probably involved with that. So I was sitting here thinking during this discussion, I didn't say anything earlier, because I'm thinking, well, I need to be careful about, what I can't be giving out names, obviously, right? I probably cannot go to the clerk of court and say, here, tell me stuff that, because as county attorney, I have access to all the non-public information, but I can't really go to the clerk of court and say, here, tell me this, and then turn around and tell it to somebody else. So I'm gonna, I'm gonna try and check a little bit and see, and I think these other ideas are good ideas too, so don't count on me having any epiphany, because what you guys are talking about makes sense, but I will see maybe what I can publicly tell.
I'm just thinking of the audit process, because if we get audited on this, it's gonna be easy to say Prime for Life at $1,800 for county share. There's gonna be a statement, it's gonna be easy to, that's clear. What's not gonna be clear is if, I'll just say a boy went to North Iowa Juvenile Detention Center and for a substance abuse thing, and they're gonna say, okay, when did that happen? Was it substance abuse? Can you prove that it was substance abuse? They might not want the name, but that just sounds a little more iffy, and I don't know how to actually do that yet.
My paperwork says what they're in for, you know.
Okay. If it's that clear, yeah.
I would think, kind of what I always use as a guide is if something's already public, then.
Yeah, like you're good then.
That's public. It doesn't have a name, but it has.
Well, then I would think it's probably.
And like, does it say it was used for substance abuse, or does it say it was mental health, or?
No, it says, it'll say substance abuse or larceny or, you know, or attempted murder or, you know, that has why they're in there, you know, what their reason for them going there.
So then every 2 months, can you just take that and get reimbursed from that, you know, type of what you get from Eldora?
We could, I don't know why we couldn't. Like February, we had nobody in there in Eldora, I don't know about.
Again, I don't look at it that close, but I'll have to look at it.
They brought up, so.
Who does the audit on it? Call them up and ask them what rules they're playing your audit.
In the MOU, it just said that it would be audited and tracked.
And it's, I mean, yeah, we could call.
It's called Washington
The
DC.
IRS, you don't ever really think about doing it, because you just assume you're not gonna get anywhere, but it's a good idea.
Okay, well, we'll work on the budget amendment, the next thing, and we'll get the ones that are on here, like I illustrated, and
Substance abuse.
we'll look into that.
Well, if the auditor goes to those places, they're not gonna give them much information either.
Pardon me, Mark?
But if the auditor goes to Central Detention Center, they're gonna say, yeah, he was here, but they probably can't say what they're in there for.
Yeah, they can't, well, it's obviously public record, they won't give it to me, right? Or
But I don't think.
to share, they're giving it to me to share with the board.
Yeah, the auditor can't get private information either.
Depends on what their audit is. If it's
Maybe
anything
not
like the
names.
ARPA money, I have an audit it's due at the end of this month. Last time I literally went in and put the amount of money that we had spent of our ARPA money. That's all I did.
Okay.
So I don't know, so it depends if they're detailed or not, I would say.
Okay.
I don't know.
We will work on the first step, and then we'll see what we can do for the next. So, all right. Action on payment in lieu of tax waiver request. So North Iowa Regional Housing Authority, they do this every year. Last year I emailed them in regards to explanation of some of the stuff that they improved. I didn't email them this year. They have what's called a pilot program. That's payment in lieu of taxes. They're also asking for the $1,366.16 to be waived.
Can I talk a little bit on that?
Yeah.
I know a lady that lives in there, and she said she got a notice that they want to move her out while they remodel, because they plan on remodeling all the apartments down there. I don't know what they're gonna exactly do, if they're gonna paint, if they're gonna whatever, but, so they are putting back in.
Okay. Last year's email, it had a number of different things that they've completed over the last 3 years, so it's not exactly just, you know, they do things over a number of years. And any other questions in regards to it from the board? If not, I'll accept the motion for payment in lieu of taxes waiver request from North Iowa Regional Housing Authority.
I'll make that motion.
Meyer makes a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Brian seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing none.
Roll call, Todd?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Sydney? Jim?
Aye. Motion carries. Items to note, meetings attended. I had a city council meeting last night. They just pretty much went over general business. That's all I had.
I had no meetings.
I had a substance abuse coalition board meeting and treasurer's report. This Christine Riggert from Prairie Ridge has been going to school. She's gonna go to the 9th graders at St. Ansgar class here sometime coming up. And we talked about the opioid settlement money and all these items that are on this paper, pretty much, so. And I met with Carpenter, and I guess I told you about that, and then I had a public health meeting too, and I guess they pretty much went over all that, so. That's it. Okay, so.
I had none.
I had none.
Okay. Manure management plan update.
Got some time? Okay. Benson site, 3189 Underwood Avenue, Orchard. Alverson Finisher Farm, 4830 Epic Avenue, St. Ansgar. Robert Meese, 3943 Quail Avenue, Osage. PL Farm LLC, 2942 State Line Street, McIntyre. Mark Tice Finisher, 2921 350th Street, Osage. Borderline Buildings LLC, Southwest Site, 3327 500th Street, Riceville. Borderline Buildings LLC, Northeast Site, 5059 Addison Avenue, Riceville. Timber Finisher Farm, it says Timber Avenue, Riceville. Iowa Select, Fitzmaurice, Tip 5, Wing Finish, 1923 480th Street, St. Ansgar. Iowa Select, Heman West Finisher Farm, 4758 Shadow Avenue, McIntyre. Iowa Select, Geiger Sow, 3150 State Line, Riceville. And Rela 2 LLC, 3732 Noble Avenue, Osage.
Okay.
Good one.
Cleaning them out, aren't they?
Yeah, it's spring.
Okay. Public comments.
I didn't mean to insult the IRS in a public meeting. When I just said they're difficult to get a hold of a little bit ago, I didn't know if they're listening, I'm just saying I didn't mean to.
Okay. We're okay.
I do have someone who's thought of this. Did anybody get a call on some roads, on Timber Avenue? The only reason I'm asking this is, I came to work one day, I had this call. How do we want it? What happens if somebody calls everybody's phone? How would we ever know if anybody's talked to anybody or, I hate to have 5 supervisors contacting somebody and all I did was call them, talk to them about it. I happened to be up there like 3 days prior to that and the road was terrible. So I called Merlin and he took care of it. But, do I reach out to everybody or do we just?
I've had a few, number of road issues too in the last month, and I talked to Rich about them, is all I do, and he takes care of it,
Yeah.
But
Okay.
when it comes on those phones, I think it's specific to who, just because it goes to one, it don't go to all.
Yeah, but what if they call every single
Yeah.
Oh, if they call
supervisor's
everybody.
phone and we don't know it,
Well,
is what he's saying.
okay, well, I respond back to the calls I get,
From your cell phone?
my cell phone or the landline.
Okay.
That's probably the best, but rather than chasing us, just
Yeah, I just
call the individual and.
Yeah.
whether,
Or somebody already took care of it.
I just take care of, whoever calls me, I take
Yeah,
care of it.
And I just didn't know if we wanted to call you and say, hey, I got hold of somebody or just take care of it.
Yeah, I just been taking care of my complaints, but.
Okay, I think we hit all the agenda items. So meeting's adjourned.